Hello. Okay. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is the right to express any opinions without any censorship or restraint. Government may not jail, fine, or impose civil liability on people or organizations based on what they've said or what they've done, except in exceptional circumstances. Freedom of speech is not only speaking, it can also be writing, printing, broadcasting by using the internet, or you have also other forms of expressions like displaying flags or burning flags, for example. In the US, the First Amendment covers freedom of speech. It holds restrictions on its content. So government targets the speaker's message, and the Supreme Court has the power to sanction it. But in the US, law creates debate because not everybody agrees with it. Law is the system of rule which a country or community use to regulate the actions of its member and which may be enforced by the opposition of penalties. It can be also seen as a correct behavior or procedure. Defamation, true threats, finding words, obscenity, and advertising are also a form of speech. The law has not always been this protective. In the 19th century, crimes were allowed, but during the 60s, the government began to limit the violation of the First Amendment and reinforced its power more than before. So, should we have the right to protest whatever we want, however we want? We're first going to discuss about manifestation as a way to protest, and secondly, we're going to talk about injustices and daily protesting. The right to protest may be the manifestation of the right of freedom of speech. It's not civil disobedience when you don't violate the law of the state. The right to protest expresses an objection to what someone has said or done. The First Amendment protects your right to assemble and express your view through protest. However, police and government are allowed to place narrow restrictions on the exercise of speech rights. You can protest whatever you want in public spaces, but not in private places because sometimes there can be put restrictions on its territory. Peaceful protesting is tolerated if you respect the territory's law. So manifestations are not always peaceful. Some goes into riots. Riots are violent disturbance of the peace by the crowd, and it's an impressively large display of something. According to an internet that I found on the NPR website, the past month there have been demonstrations for Black Lives. And there have been a lot of condemnations for looting. It's interesting to underline that people wanted to show their discontent, but in different ways. So some people were peacefully demonstrating, and there also was riots with looters. So protests are tolerated in a certain way. In the article, the speaker says peaceful protesting is a constitutionally protected form of free speech, but not rioting. So we can say that we can't protest however we want, but sometimes there are exceptions. Then I found an article about the coronavirus. It's an article taken on the site of Amnesty International. It's about protesters in France that were peacefully protesting on September 28th. People were protesting peacefully and during the first lockdown, and it resulted in hundreds of unjustified fines, and some people were attacked by the police and the justice system. Therefore, it doesn't mean that the law allows protesters to protest, that there won't be any consequences, even if it's a peaceful demonstration. So we can also add that protesting is not only always in the street. It can also be at home when you disagree with your family. You protest towards your parents, or during a debate when you disagree with a opinion or ideas, you protest. Sorry. So you have to conclude, you have the right to say what you want if it's in respect of the law. Peaceful demonstrations are tolerated if of course there are no injustices, but rioting leads to violence, even if it's for the same cause sometimes. Therefore, there is always a compromise between two opponents. You just have to do the things properly in respect of the law, the people, or the community. Thanks.